Hey y'all, welcome to Off the Beaten Path. My name is Cush.
My name is Breezy. On our podcast, we explore the great outdoors and the Second Amendment with a blend of culture,
comedy, and conversation. And oh yeah,
I'm making beats.
Yo, that'll always bring a smile to my face.
One day I won't laugh at that. I'm making beats.
That was pretty great. I wasn't expecting it to be so great.
When we recorded that intro, we were at his house. And we were like, man, what do we need to do at the end that's like indicative of our personality? And I'm always recording. And he was like, oh, making beats. And so, anyhow, guys, I want to welcome y'all back to Off the Beaten Path. We have an amazing guest tonight. Some of y'all may know her in the South Florida shooting arena. And for those of you who don't, I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, but her name is Vana Shoots. Vana, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Well, hi guys. I'm really excited to be on here today. My name's Nirvana. You might know me by Nirvana Manic Rodriguez, Maniac, Vana, whatever you like to call me. It's me. Hi, how are you? I'm here today. I'm going to talk about all things 2A and the community and different ways we get different people involved and all that good jazz.
So real quick, yo, Breeze, Vana, I know we told you this, but he'll be chopping a beat live while we're having this conversation. You already got your sample picked out?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay, let's hear the sample.
I've been cheat coding it a little bit lately with these songs I'm finding, but I mean,
all right, let's see what you got.
This is like almost ready to go. It feels like.
Oh man! Wow.
Gotta tell you, folks, it's DJ Breezy on the afternoon thunderstorm.
Vana, we are professional goofballs.
Yes.
Okay, I'm good with goofballs.
So, all right, let's jump right into it. So your name is Nirvana, which I love. But I want to ask you, how did you get into the shooting sports?
All right, so shooting. I guess it can all start from how I got into just getting my first gun, really. So I was a bartender for a long time, walking around. I worked for a very popular chain. I don't know if I'm allowed to drop their name. It's Twin Peaks. I worked for them for years. Awesome place. It was a lot of fun. But, you're a young lady working with a lot of money in a slightly suggestive outfit, right? We'll even cover-ups or whatever, but nonetheless, like, whoa, stop, that was my dog. Nonetheless, you're still even a little vulnerable. So that feeling of vulnerability, I always hated. And then I had a situation where I absolutely did have a guest just overly infatuated with me. And I was still young. I started bartending at 18. I was in high school still. I was a senior. And so in high school. So I remember just him crossing a line that absolutely terrified me. Massive dude, probably like 6'4", like 300 pounds, like just absolutely being terrified. That was when I was like, okay, I need to get a gun. I told my boyfriend, who's now my husband, my boyfriend who's now my husband, like about the situation. And, the restaurant worked with me. They got him banned, whatever. Okay, that was dust under the rug. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas happened not too long after that. They changed the legal age from like 18 to 21 to own a firearm, to own a pistol and carry. I'm like, all right, wait till I'm 21. Something happened right before that, like right before I turned 21 and I can go do this. I went to FAU, Hootie Hoot, Ellen.
Yeah, nice.
I was on my way to school one morning. I stopped to put gas. And I remember it was an empty, like gloomy day, and all of a sudden 2 cars whip in really fast. One was like a green SUV kind of thing, and the other one was like a silver sedan. I remember a young black lady getting out of the green SUV and a young black lady driving it, and then the other car just kind of got itself closer slowly, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. She's like, oh, can I preach to you the Lord's gospel, whatever it may be? And usually like I'm Hindu, grew up Hindu.
Yeah.
I will still always listen to whatever anybody has to say about God, because like that's just me. Like I'm so okay with however you believe in God and you want to talk about it and like spread that love. I'm all into that. That moment, everything in me said, hell no. I said, so like, I was like, no. And I just like went into my car quickly, like panicked. Like I was terrified. She runs back to her car. That green SUV whips out, that silver sedan whips out. No one ever got out the silver sedan. Dark gas pins, couldn't see into it. And I remember just like, what just almost happened, right?
You felt like it was a setup.
Right. And then days later,
Wow.
I see on Twitter someone talking about the same exact thing almost happening to them. So
Really?
at that same exact gas station. So
wow.
Whatever they were trying to do, I said to myself, I will not be a victim. Like I will be hard to kidnap. I will be a hard time. You're going to wish you hadn't messed with me. So
that's awesome.
Like, that was that driving factor for me. And we went to a gun show down in Miami, the Tamiami Fairgrounds, and we did the concealed carry class there. Not the best concealed carry class you can do, but I did it. It was great. Like to me, it was the best thing at the time. I filed for my concealed carry, bought my first gun. You know, I had to do the whole waiting period because I didn't have my concealed carry yet. It was a Glock 26 flat dark earth. I still have it.
Yeah.
It's my nightstand gun now because it's fat for me to wear on my body, and I realize that now. But I got it, and I started carrying, and a lot of people, and I trained. I trained. I still wasn't that great, but I trained. I tried to take classes, and a lot of people were coming to me because I was big on advocating for more women to stop being scared of firearms and arm themselves, because that's the ultimate equalizer. Like, I'm not into the whole victimhood thing, right? Like, you're not going to be able to help someone else's actions, but you can absolutely help your reaction, right? How you're going to handle whatever comes your way. So if I can just have slight control in that situation, or at least do something, feel like I did something to prepare myself, I can live with that. So I started having people asking me about, how do you get your concealed carry? How do you do this? And I said, why don't I get certified or something to do that? So me and my husband, he was my fiance at the time at this point, we went and became NRA instructors. And that was cool. I taught a lot of concealed carry classes, taught a lot of people. During that time, we got into CrossFit. So I fell in love with CrossFit competitions, this, that, and the other. And I started seeing tactical fitness pop up on my algorithm, because now it's shooting and working out. And I was like, this is cool. This is really cool. And then cool. It just all came together. So that's how that happened.
So you gave us kind of like I'm gonna dive into some of the talking points that you said, because man, we just had another guest on, and she was saying that she was a victim of a couple other things that occurred to her, and she chose to not be a victim. And she's actually an amazing shooter. She does a lot of stuff in the space, but I love that you were very conscious and aware of the decision you had in front of you. I can either cleave to this victim, and I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying that when people cleave to the victim mentality that it's a narrative or anything like that. No, because it actually happened. But it's just perspective on how there are certain individuals who will either own the moment or let the moment own them. So my hat goes off to you for deciding to, hey, I'm going to train that way I can be prepared should anything ever happen. And so hats off to you. That's amazing. How now, I know you said I'm all about ladies shooting. I'm married. I have two, no, they're not little girls anymore, but they're 18 and 15. So I'm big on female shooters. What type of ripple effect did you cause in your local circles? Because I know in some instances, whether you're a man or woman, depending on who your friends are, social circles, anytime you talk about gun ownership, there's always that stigma that comes with it. So you as a woman, when you got a gun and started training and started taking it seriously, how did your female social groups adapt to that? Were they standoffish or were they supportive?
I could sense that they were comfortable now talking about it, right? It was I have someone to talk to about this who I won't feel, and I'm not saying that people do this often. It's just something that women fear when stepping into a new world. Not even just women. Most people fear this, feeling stupid. Do I sound like an idiot? Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, you go to ask someone questions about guns and you're kind of intimidated by their, at the time, I didn't have any law enforcement background or military background or anything like that. So it was really comfortable talking to another civilian to civilian. How do I start this? Like, I want to be able to defend myself too. And I was able to have those conversations with different women, finding female instructors out there who were really good, you know, like all that, connecting them with that. It's like, I'm not saying that a man is not a good instructor for women. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that I think me being so open and willing to talk about it made a space where women were like, can I please talk about it too with you as well?
That's awesome. And I am going to jump in here because the other guest we had, she was saying how with women, there's way more sense of community. And I agree because, I mean, you can see it in the space wherever you go. Women are usually, I mean, there are certain, you know, women that can be catty and standoffish, but for the most part, I've been in this space for almost 4 years. We've had an agency in the space this is our second year. For the most part, it's very communal. And I love, this has come up, I can't tell you how many times. This is one of the few spaces where you can say, I don't know. And everybody's like, well, let me teach you. Let me show you. Let me show you. So it's cool that you've been able to create a space that fosters women coming into the space and you know, gun ownership, because there's tactical lifestyle, there's home defense, there's skeet shooting, sport shooting, hunters. So yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. So let me ask you, you mentioned what was it? The fitness was it
Tactical fitness?
tactical fitness? You
Yeah.
said you got into fitness, you fell in love with it. Was that also a driving force behind your training? Like, you knew I wanted to not only train with a firearm, but I wanted to get super fit.
So I had always worked out. I had always been a big gym junkie, whatever it was, but I was more into like meathead lifting. Like, it was like, oh, like leg day, like upper body day, which is nothing's wrong with it. But I was not athletic. I was ripped. I was this, I was that. I was not athletic. You could never use that word to describe me. Couldn't run a mile, had never ran a mile, you know? And then the CrossFit, that made me able. Like, I was like this. I remember my first class. So now there's another backstory to this. So I did like my first ever bikini contest, and it was actually a Twin Peaks contest. And the way I had to like minimize my calorie intake and do this and do that, and the training and the emotional like beat down I took doing that, and then to not place, I lost my mind. I gained a bunch of weight, and I wouldn't work out for years. And then one day I just looked at my husband. He had been trying to get me to try CrossFit. He wasn't doing it, but he was like, I kind of want to try it. One day I said to him, I'm like, can you find a CrossFit around and we'll try it? Because I need to do something. And we went. I almost died, but I didn't. I ran for the first time ever. And I was like, oh, this was cool. Like, I thought I was like doing something that was so hard and I thought I could never do. And I did it. And I was just shocked. I was like, what else can I do? There's got to be more.
Because really, at the end of the day, it's you against you. 2023, I documented my fitness journey really heavily. I dropped almost 100 pounds. I've put on some of the weight since then because last year, Breezy and I were traveling a lot. And but man, I know exactly what you mean, because I remember the first time I ran, the furthest I ever jogged is 9 miles. And I remember the first time I jogged a mile all the way through, I was like, oh man, my fat ass can run a mile. So to get to a point where I was running the furthest, and I only did it once, but it was 9 miles. And of course, it's a rainy night, but I had it in my head. And I still want to do it. I still want to run a marathon, but it was a rainy night. I was turning right into my neighborhood. My foot slipped, and the ball of my foot hit the curb. And ever since then, I've had really bad plantar fasciitis, and it hurts. But I love that. I love that. I love that level of self-awareness, because again, it does come down to you versus you. So now that takes us up to like the tactical shooting sports, right? How far into like your gun ownership journey did you start doing tactical games?
So I did the Patriot Games. The Patriot game. I never did the tactical games. Tactical games is they're more they're out of like other states. Patriot Games we keep to Florida. So I did a Patriot Games and I'd say what year was it? 2021. I did my first competition, or 2022. Man, my years are blending. I don't even. After COVID, I wanted a big change in life, right? And so
Yeah.
not too long after my first, I remember I watched my husband do his first competition. It was the year we got married, 2022. I watched him do his, and I had a CrossFit competition coming up, and I was like, okay, like I'll just watch and see what I think of it. And I remember watching, and I remember seeing these Greek goddess-like women competing, glistening in sweat and their muscles, and they're like, I was like, oh my God, like there's no way. There's no way I could do that, but I want to try. I want to try anyway because they were the kindest women I've ever met. They look so intimidating and so tough.
Sweethearts. Yeah.
The sweetest. They were so cool, so encouraging, and then they like embrace you with open arms the whole time. And you know,
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right.
She's really pretty.
Yeah.
That's about it. But you know, they embrace you with open arms, and that immediate sense of community. I was big into it because like that's one thing CrossFit did for me was like, you know, it like you had people suffering with you, and that was just so appealing to me, like how everyone brought you up. And it was the same thing here. And it just felt like, honestly, like warm apple pie. And I know it's a weird way to describe smelling gunpowder, lead, rubbing yourself over the floor and sweating and pushing yourself in heavy kits. But it was just a natural piece to.
So I'm gonna jump into that. Tell us about the Patriot Games because, man, I love that you and your husband are what y'all are building down there, and it's really cool to see. And I believe we follow you on your page and the Patriot Games page. So I love seeing the intense level of competition. Shout out to your photographer. They do an amazing job. But yeah, tell us about the Patriot Games.
All right. So me and Jesse, we started off as competitors, and we were, you know, loving every minute of it, doing pretty good. You know, stress shooting in itself, that is a skill. Being able to make your shots count, because in the Patriot Games and tactical fitness, your misses are penalized. It's not like, oh, you just got to get your hits. No, you're allowed a certain loadout in your magazine, and those need to be hits. Otherwise, there are 10-second penalties added to your time. Yeah. So I always say it's a great sport for anybody in law enforcement because your shots need to count. There's liability tied behind a missed shot. It's not the same. I love steel challenges and I love USPC, all that. I love all that. All those competition shootings are so cool. But this has a lot higher in terms of you only got a certain amount of shots. You better make them count. So just like that, teaching you to breathe, slow it down, how to control your stress and actually get shots on target. That's an important skill, and you can be the best shooter in the world, but if you haven't trained that stress shooting, it doesn't mean anything. You can also be the most fit person in the world, but you haven't trained your accuracy, it means nothing. So we were doing boot camps and stuff, and the owners of the Patriot Games, the original founders, Anthony and Allison DeSaro, honestly, some of the best people I've ever met in my life. They influenced me a lot in terms of how my life kind of went. I am in law enforcement now, and they are both in law enforcement. And getting to know them and being able to like have been blessed with them in my life, I still keep in really good touch with them. They're so helpful. They kind of like, without even knowing how much they influenced me, they really did. I was going a completely different direction in terms of career-wise. And then it all just kind of started to make more sense. You know, when like you feel like you're forcing something and nothing fits. There was no need to force. It was just the wrong path. And everything just started to flow. And they came to us and they said, hey, look, things are changing in our life. We're looking to sell. Would you guys be willing to buy? So
Yeah,
stop,
all right.
Very excited.
Jesse, get her. And I was like, oh, me and my husband, we prayed on it, but we're like, absolutely would be willing to buy and take over it. And those are big shoes to fill, because my experience with these people are definitely, I'm not the only one who loved them so dearly. Like they're really
yeah.
So me and my husband were just like, how are we gonna fill those shoes? And we decided we're not filling those shoes. We're gonna leave those shoes right there, and we're gonna make our own shoes right next to it and do our best to keep up the community that they did a great job of establishing, which was that warm apple pie. Like I said, I've done cross competitions, I've done a few, I've done Spartan races. There's no community like this one though. Like they're all great. This one's different. You know, I remember my first competition, I forgot my magazines at home. Do you know all those competitors and gave me magazines?
That's awesome.
Okay. Who does that? Who goes out of their way? Allison was going to go have her kid drive back home and bring the magazines out of her duty belt for me. Like, people don't do that, you know?
So,
like, but they did.
So I know you said this is different because it is, you guys are holding people to a different standard because it is focused on law enforcement. Do you guys have anything for beginner shooters? Like, I know you have different divisions, but is there anywhere where just like open to the public they can come in, or is this
No, it is all open to the public. So I said it's a great sport for law enforcement in terms of like how to train, but we got civilians that chop up law enforcement all day long. Like some of our top podiuming people are like accountants, or no, one of them, he does screens, like patio screens. This dude, butts, okay? Like the most accurate shooter. You don't think like he's as fit as he is, but he is like a beast, okay? And he's in our 40 plus division, our 40 to 49, our men's masters. And he's just an absolute beast. And that's what I love about it, because it's so humbling for a lot of people. Like they think like they're like, they go in there like, I'm gonna take this, I got this. You go in there and like the accountant's messing you up.
Because there's an expect. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Breeze. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I heard bits and pieces, but no, it's cool.
But yes,
how passionate you are about it.
Yeah,
and the which is amazing. Like I love hearing stories like that, because that's really what, and only hearing you like saying when you feel like you're going against the grain with something, because that's 100% how we were before we jumped in, before we pivoted into this space. So once you're going with the flow and not swimming against the current, and you're like, I think this is it. Yeah, we found it.
How do I slow down?
Just want a rafting, brother. Hold on.
Ride that wave called life, you know?
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, a lot of those things resonate probably with a lot of people, you know, once you find, you know, really what it feels like you're meant to be doing. It's an amazing feeling.
Absolutely. Do you guys ever have like all women events down there?
No, not all women events, but we do have our own women's heats. We have women, we have women's intermediate, women's elite. We used to do one thing I introduced was the women's top shot. So we did top shot, which is the person who would like drop the least amount of rounds the entire competition. You know, that was always a guy. So, and not for nothing, but you know, men are typically, and I'm not like gonna deny this, men are really good at being precise, right? They're really good at and accurate at shooting. But there's women who are really freaking good too, and they're just right under them. And I was like, you know, we got our own divisions. We might as well get our own top shot too. So we do that as well. And man, my favorite is the women's masters. And we have 40 and up, 50 and up. They're all in there. And
what are the courses like?
So like an example battle, we call them battles, the little stages. It would be like 10 ground overhead. We use axle bars, like the fat bars, not normal weightlifting bars. So they don't spin and they're fat and they're awful. Like 10 ground overhead, 10 burpees over bar, lots of sandbag work. So you can do sandbags over a yoke, stress carry, a sandbag over shoulder, and then you can carry an implement to the firing line, load your firearm, make ready. And then we have different targets, like a hostage taker, trifecta targets, where it's like it's like 3 paddles kind of thing, and you have to shoot them in a sequence.
Yep.
So we have that, and so we'll assign them like 9 rounds to the trifecta, left, center, right, and so they load, make ready. Every time they miss their intended target, that's a miss. So let's say you're supposed to hit the big one and you hit the middle one, that's a miss. You didn't hit your target.
Yep.
Yeah. So and it goes like that. And once they're clear, their judge looks into the barrel, into the chamber, make sure it's clear. Yep. Sets fly forward, they holster. If they're running rifle, they then get their rifle ready. We never run with hot firearms because that could be a bad day. It's like I'm not, and because I said, we don't necessarily have a standard for who can do this. It's as long as you're safe, that's all I care about. We can figure out the rest along the way. As long as you're not dangerous. Like if you go in there and you're like shooting to the ground, all right, we got a problem. We got to fix something. Like let me talk to you on the side. But as long as you're being safe, I can work on everything else. So that's really the standard, is safety. We got a lot of people, they come in and they're missing everything, but no one's getting shot and everything's been safe. So I'm good and I'm happy with it. And they work on it. They come back and they're absolutely excellent.
That's cool.
It really is. It's fun. I love seeing people with absolutely no background in it at all. I have people who've learned to shoot to do this. So it's been pretty cool.
So how often are y'all down there shooting?
We'll do boot camps a few times throughout the year. More so, we do like 5 to 8 events throughout the year, including the boot camps. So all we have left so far, we've already done our Homestead event, which was in January. It was awesome. So we had like 96 shooters. It was a fun day. It was a fun event. Cool. 4 stages. We're going to be having a boot camp coming up. We're to be decided on that. We're trying to find a good location. The next one is Frostproof in Frostproof, Florida at Universal Shooting Institute, I believe it's called. After that, we have Immokalee, Palm Bay. It's at the Palm Bay Police Range. Awesome facility. That's a team competition. It's a lot of fun. You're in duos, and last year we had them using radios and talking to each other. It was so cool. And then we have our championship in Georgia. So
that's cool. What part of Georgia?
Fleming. It's just outside of Savannah, like 30 minutes away.
Nice.
Really, really cool range. Awesome people run it.
Yo, Breeze, are you still chopping them that beat or what?
I think this, I don't know if we're going to have a rating system for the beats that I make on the podcast, but I think that this is up there.
All right. We got to hear it.
A little preview already?
Or do you want to wait?
Let's wait.
All right. We'll wait.
We're going to let it simmer. It's simmering.
He did one on another episode. Like me and the guests, we thought for sure he was going to go this way. And then he played it and he turned it into like a reggae beat. We were like, we didn't even see it coming. So he went
with the wave. He didn't go against the grain.
It's over my life. Yeah.
He followed the feeling. So, all right. So that takes us up to the Patriot Games. And I know you just said essentially your upcoming schedule. I want to ask you a little some other questions in reference to like what is the typical response that you see training under stress? And I'm asking you that because I know you and your husband organize the events, and I'm sure as the owners of this event, you guys can see like, oh wow, like are you guys constantly working on fine-tuning the process so that it is a better experience, not only for the athlete, but just on the service side? Because is your husband also a law enforcement officer?
No, he's not. He runs a business full time.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, hats off to you because we do the same thing, so we know that hustle. Yes. So do you guys fine tune it to continue essentially chisel away like the imperfections for people who train with you guys?
Yeah. When we first started, I think we had things really heavy. I think we had really heavy loads on people. So we see the response of we want people to have fun, and we're not here to crush your soul. We're here for you to challenge yourself, right? When it comes to the shooting, you're only going to get better at that from literally emulating stress shooting. That's it. There is no way. Yes, dry fire. Your fundamentals need to be really good. Your fundamentals need to be excellent to be good at shooting under stress. Yeah. Once you get there, it becomes like a baseline for you, and like that's okay. Like it's like, and I'm saying this because like from experience, once I finally broke through with that, like, oh my God, I'm terrible. I keep dropping every shot. Why is this so bad? I've tortured myself enough and been able to collect myself to get my shots on target enough to where it's like, that's like, I found like an equilibrium in how things need to go for myself. You learn yourself because you need to know your body, you need to know yourself. That's why being physically fit is important. That's why being active is important, because you need to know what your limits are, how far you can push, where you need to hold back on, where you can excel on. Just like in life, right? You know, you're running away from something or running to something, whatever it may be. You got to know, like, can I jump that fence like that? Do I need to take a minute and catch my breath before I do it? Because if you're injured and there's like, you hear gunshots firing, you're injured. What are you going to do now? How are you going to get over there? You just broke your leg. More people are going to die now because you didn't take a minute. You didn't walk up to that fence. You know, throttle control is so important. And I think that's one thing it teaches.
That's a good phrase.
We need to hold on. We need to.
Drop that horn, bro. Come on, the DJ horn. We need that. She's West Indian, so she's definitely heard that horn before.
Oh yeah. I almost thought I would hear a Jamaican guy in one of those knitted shirts. Pull it, you know.
Man, there's so many gems in there. I just to rewind, because you know we're pretty. I shot guns when I was younger. My dad taught me a lot of the fundamentals. We went hunting. We'd be in the woods. But you know, I was 12, 13 years old when I kind of found the mall and arcade games and skateboarding and didn't do any more of that. So it's been like, now that we're getting back into it, it's like relearning a lot of things. And it's 100% accurate. I know you know this, but I want to reiterate it because it's like in your mind, it's always going to play out, right? Like, oh, if this pops off, like I'm going to nail everything and my gun's going to come out of like, I'm going to pull and I'm going to get, and it's like, no, like it doesn't happen. Yeah. So to like actually put yourself in that situation and realize, I'm sure it's eye-opening. Like even someone like you that trains so much that, oh wow, I really need to focus on this to get better.
Who was it who told us that most civilian gunfights last for like a max?
It was shout out to Gun Daddy. That was Gun Daddy that day.
What did he say? Like what?
He said under 5 seconds, I believe.
Under 5 seconds.
Most of it. And then you touched on it as well, and it's something that like stuck with me is that you're right. You can train, you can be accurate, you can be at the range every other day, but when you add stress to the mix, that's when everything changes. And that's when you essentially, resort to your lowest level of training, right?
Yeah.
So it's
highest level of training.
Is the highest level? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you fall to the highest level of training.
Okay. So I'm just saying, like, it's cool to hear you talk about, you know, how you train and seeing it in just civilians that show up and train.
Yeah, and get better throughout the process. And not just physical stress, but like things going wrong. Oh, the battery in my optic fell out. Oh, that happened to me. I thank God I had an LPVO. Didn't matter. That's God bless LP. My astigmatism is seeing 3 dots. Happened to me before. I didn't have an issue with my red dot until like my 3rd competition. It was the red dot on my rifle. I'm shooting at 300 yards. I'm at elevation. I see 3 dots. Yeah. Which one do I shoot? Do I panic? Do I figure it out? You got to problem solve, but you got to calm down. You can't shut down, right? Mm-hmm. And I have seen people shut down when they're faced with adversity in the middle of a competition. I'm like, hey, this is just a competition. It's just fun. It's just fun. Yeah. It's not real life. But how you behave when it doesn't count, that will affect when it does count one day. And I pray to God no one's ever in that situation. But you should treat everything like it's preparing you for that day.
First, you gotta write like a little book of Vanna's quotes because I mean they're great. Secondly, I want to say this because I know in our space, and I think for most men, we think like this. Situational awareness is like just the tip of the iceberg. Because yeah, so what? Good job that your back is not towards the door and you're aware of everything. But if and so you have a firearm on you, how good are you at putting 3 rounds down at 10, 15 yards? Not only that, but there's the emotional side of it, the mental side of it, and heaven forbid something like that were to happen, the panic of people running, like, or is it just you at a gas station? How often? Shout out to our friend Mark Chopper. He just did a video where he's like drawing from close to the sun, pulling out. So yeah, man, you've dropped a lot of gems on us tonight, and man, I feel like we could continue talking about this for hours. Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Extend the clock. Yo, Breeze, what do you got?
I can yap all day. That's my. I can just talk. My husband's like, "Yo, you don't ever stop talking."
Oh, I wanted to ask you a question. You said you're West Indian. How did your parents react to you getting into the firearm space?
Oh, I love this question. So my family is very conservative. So my dad is like a brown duck dynasty. I call him curry chicken dynasty. My uncles, my dad, like it's pretty hilarious. They came to this country holding conservative views very close to them because they know that that's the difference between this country and others. I'm not saying the conservative, and they know no one's perfect. The conservative party's not perfect, whatever it may be. There's just their values, right? They love the autonomy and owning a firearm. I grew up with a loaded pistol on the kitchen table. My dad showed me a video of a kid getting his brains blown out and said, "This will happen if you touch it, but it'll also happen if you have to use it on somebody." Yeah. And I was like, "All right, cool. I'm not touching it. Whatever. Okay. Cool, thanks." Cool. 8. I was like 8. And that I had a healthy respect and fear for firearms right away. But I also knew what to do with it, right? If I had to do it. Now, many parents would not do that, and I'm not suggesting to do that, but he could do that because he could trust me with that. I'm really into learning from other people's mistakes. I see that video and say, "Excellent. I like my brains in my head. We won't be doing that." But they were very, very supportive of it. They thought it was pretty cool. Getting into law enforcement was a different story. That was like,
because now you're front line, right?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you went to college, you got your bachelor's degree. You're supposed to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. What's wrong with you?"
A cop.
I was like, "It's not for me. I don't want to be at your bedside. I want to see what's going on. Like, I want to be in stuff because, like again, like after training, Patriot Games, and doing all this stress-related stuff, I love being under stress, for lack of better words, because I know myself, and I know I can think clearly, discriminate a threat versus not a threat. I know I'm comfortable doing those things with all of this. And I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying there won't be a day where I get very well tested. I'm absolutely sure there will be. We all have our limits as people, and you can only train so much. Yeah. But I feel like I'm comfortable, and I know that I'm capable from how I've trained to where I would be okay with me in that situation with me. Right? Like, would you be okay as your own backup kind of thing? Like I know I'm not going to act emotionally or scared. I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about things, think things through, because I've felt stress. I've had to make decisions, under stress. It's never the same as the fight for your life. And I completely understand that. But emulating it, practicing it, like everything else in life, you have to get as
prepared as you can get. Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
And it's better to be confident in your abilities than question, can I do this? Because
that question can get you dead. Yeah. So, the question of, can I take that shot? Oh, it's already been taken, and it wasn't by me, and it was by the bad guy, and it was, you got to be sure.
And you're gonna 100% have a better chance of reacting in the proper way if you're training for it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can never recreate that scenario, but at least if you're training
for high stress, yeah,
that,
bro. I mean, look at like, you know, FBI guys and SWAT. They're constantly training under high levels of stress because when it comes down to it, when you're in it, you as best training as you can, you want to go in prepared.
Absolutely. Like your best teams, what do? They train all the time. They emulate situations, scenarios. Treat yourself like an elite team. Even if you're not there yet, you're gonna get to a better place for yourself. Everything like no one's looking at you to be the savior. That's never like what you're doing all this for. You're doing it for yourself. Like you're in the like even regardless of what your job is, do you have people you care about in your life?
Yeah.
You'd want them to be okay in a not okay situation, right? Like
self-preservation.
Self-preservation. I'm sorry, I giggled a little bit, and it wasn't at the point you were making at all. It's because when this guy and I first opened our business, I had a concealed carry. He didn't, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna carry my pistol." I'm like, "Yeah, no, bro, we need to get you concealed weapons." But it's funny because we used to play out different scenarios in our studio, and I'm laughing. It's just funny because it's us. We made it funny, but we really like
breach.
Blue team, go! But we had a plan. It's funny as it was. Like we had a real plan for because there was only 2 ways in to our studio, so we knew like, hey, if you know what I'm saying, if this goes down, like you're gonna be there, I'm gonna be here. So it's just I laughed at thinking of us because we're so green to it, you know, like we weren't where we are now with understanding.
Naturally, you were already ready for that mindset of like people say, "Oh, that's paranoid." That's animal. We're animals. It's animalistic. Like I hate that we try to pretend we're anything else other than that. Right? We are highly complex, intelligent animals, but we're still
animals. Yeah.
Right. So it's like you guys were already in that mindset of like, I have a responsibility on my waist. You know, I have to be able to act accordingly. And that's exactly what it is when you carry a gun. You are holding responsibility, the potential to take a life. And you guys were naturally like, you felt that responsibility. You felt that call to action that now I need to assess every situation I'm in. And a lot of people, they just want to go through life lackadaisically. Women, I love you, but y'all be doing that too. Sitting in your car too long, not looking around in the parking lot. Get out of it. Get out of it, because that's where you get victimized, right?
That's, you know, I was actually impressed with this young female I saw driving the other day because I don't think she looked at the road in like the 10 minutes that I watched her. I know this is different. She's not parked, but I was like, just awareness in general. You know, it's easy for us to do like on our phones. Like I'm not
this all the time.
Do it. I saw same thing. A lady was just like Hank. She was leaving the grocery store, and I don't. And this bothers me. I don't know why it bothers me, but it's like at least get to your vehicle and go do what you're doing. Like she was like posted up, her door was open. She was like looking at something, back to everything. And I'm just like, I wanted to tell, just like get in your car at least and lock the doors. Yeah. Like, why are you in this?
Like almost like scare a little bit. Like, oh, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You saw that could have been.
Give me those pistachios.
Yeah,
no, I totally agree. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. But and like we said, and I mean, I have 2 daughters, and my oldest, we're just sitting, we're out to eat, and you know, I'm just like, hey, baby, if something happened right now, you know, if some guy came in the front door, what would you do? And she, you know, just to see what she says, like, and she's like, well, I'd probably get under this table, and then I'd see where everyone's running, and if you could see me, you know, at least she's thinking about it. Yes. I said, I'm not trying to scare you or always have you thinking that something could go wrong, but in the case that it does, at least I've talked to you about it, and you have some sense of what you're going to do. You know what
that's what a good parent does, though. You don't let your kid go around thinking life is safe and it should sweet. It's not. You need to teach, especially young girls. There's a certain attention and a certain level of like distrust you need to instill in your young girls, for the simple fact that like overly polite girls and trusting girls are dead girls.
Yeah.
Don't let them be that.
Yeah.
Be a little rude. Be a little questioning. Don't give people the time of day all the time and size everybody up. Watch their hands. Watch their waist. Why is this man walking so close to me? Who cares? Who cares what that man calls you? Oh, you're conceited. You're alive. You're going home.
Yeah. You know what I've always done with my children? I've always made sure that we live in the time where everyone walks in with.
Oh my God.
I've always told my kids, don't ever do that. If I ever see you do that, I'm gonna snatch them out. But for the most part, they're always, anytime we go out together, they put their phones in their pocket because I need them to understand that hopefully it won't happen, but if it does, you're aware and you can you have a plan, you have a strategy. So yeah, that's man. And also hats off to you, Breeze, for teaching my niece that, brother. So I mean,
my niece, of course, brother.
Parenting, brother.
Yeah,
Good parenting. That's good parenting. Yeah. Make your kids aware, not just freaking existing, going through the motions, that being the sheep to slaughter. No, be a wolf. There, wolfing around, sniff, lift your leg up and pee on something. I don't care. Just don't be a sheep.
No, I shouldn't say awkward, but my baby is like observant. Like he's seen shit. She will give you the side. Like this is how she watches TV. Trying to figure out. So I love the fact. No, I tell her all the time, yo, baby, I love that. Don't ever always see where you're at, who's around. You know, like you said, right? No one had to tell you. You're like, you were in a certain situation where it just didn't feel right. And I tell her that all the time. Like, trust that instinct, baby girl. That it is 100%.
Your gut will keep you alive.
Yeah, for sure.
People lie to you through here, but if you're like you said, the hair stood up on the back of your neck. Yeah. Nah, player. Nah, I'm out. I don't care what you say. Yeah, no thanks. Bye. Yo, what's the beat, bro? Where we at with the beat?
I think we need to maybe I think we might need to get Rick Ross on the horn for this one, brother. I don't know. You tell me what this is looking like.
I know a guy. Oh, bro.
Let the end play out. Come on, man. Come on. Man.
Rosie.
Rose.
Rose.
That's good. That was good. Yeah. It was the hype. There it was.
Yeah. No,
he eat for like a half hour now.
Yeah. No, so wait, hold on. We got to ask you a round of questions before we wrap this thing up.
Yes.
Good call. Look, she's
off body or on body carry?
On body.
Okay. Now, there's this stigma, right? The female gun. What is your preferred platform? AR, AK, or shotgun? Out of those three.
AR.
AR.
I'm not Russian. I'm not a communist.
All right. Now, Breeze, who is it that we always say?
Hold on, real quick. I gotta give him a hard, because he's like always giving me a hard time for napping, and I tell him, I'm like, you're a commie, bro. You don't like naps.
Yeah. I don't like napping. I hate it.
Let's see.
John Wick.
Yes, I was gonna get to that. All right, so it's just you. So one can roll with you. You know you're about to be going into the fire. You need the best. You rolling with John Wick or Jason Bourne?
Oh, John Wick all day.
Yeah. I think everybody's gonna choose John Wick, bro.
He's gonna put himself out of cover and take the bullets for you, and then you're just gonna be able to lay everybody else out.
What movie was it that Will Smith played? It was like the zombie apocalypse.
Oh, I Am Legend.
Yeah,
because he was damn good with that. What was it? A AR? Yeah, it was an AR.
Yeah. Remember, he had his place all rigged up too.
Yeah. Or what about The Accountant?
They have a new one coming out. Looks pretty sick.
We're talking about that. We're like, yeah, it looks good.
They sent us a payment for promo. Yeah.
What's your everyday? Well, I know you're in law enforcement. What's your everyday carry when you're, I guess, not on duty?
Off duty, Glock 43, just for the sake of concealability.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
And what do you carry when you're on duty?
Glock 45.
Okay.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Not bad.
Not bad.
Right. Well,
Fishing gun is a 19X. There's that. Yes.
Okay.
That's cool. Vana, we appreciate your time. You've dropped a lot of one-liners on us. We should have our graphic guy do some quotes.
Oh yeah, for sure. They were like, hold on. Look, when I was like trying to process all of them for a minute, I'm like, time out.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. Thank you. We appreciate what you and your husband are doing in South Florida for the shooting community. I love the whole concept of stress training, and more importantly, the story that I love most here is that you are a West Indian woman who got into the firearm space for self-defense, self-preservation, and you're honestly on the front lines with your job. So hats off to you. I wish you nothing but safety, protection, and tell people where they can find you, like the Patriot Games and Instagrams and socials.
So my Instagram is Vana Shoots. Patriot Games is the Patriot_Games, but you can find it in the bio of my bio. So it's easier to find like that. So
Inception.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody. We appreciate y'all tuning in.
Is that mission accomplished? Wait, I didn't drop.
Oh, wait, yeah. That is mission accomplished. Yep. Okay, you know where that's from?
Yeah, we ask everyone. You know what that's from?
Kind of sound like Inspector Gadget.
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
In San Andreas, that was the little riff that went off. So you knew.
All right, taught me something. I'm uncultured.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Yep.